What does a murder, a homeless man and his dog, a crowded jail cell in 1965 New Orleans, and Whitney Houston all have in common? Well, if you add in a hippie playing a ukulele by the name of Jerry Jeff Walker, you'll find out. Stick around and see. Hey y'all, I'm Mo Will. Thanks for stopping in and spending some time with me. Here we are, another week has gone by, and I swear to gosh that the time is like being on a slide. The longer we are on it, the faster it goes. This week I got to thinking about another one of those songs that, as it turns out, was inspired by the events that happened in the bard's life. It was even more interesting to learn how this tale that was put to music has come to mean so many things to so many people. In this series, we'll be looking at a song and trying to discover what the inspiration was for that song. Sometimes I'll include maybe a how-to video so learn how to play it, or include the song in one of my other video series. I have the song's lyrics in the description. And if you want the chord sheet, please send me a message in the comments, or find my email or whatever, and I'll get that out to you as soon as I can. This week we're going to find out how the song story Mr. Bojangles by Jerry Jeff Walker. By the way, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the subscribe button and the bell if you want YouTube to let you know when I had a new video like this. And of course the like icon. Give me a thumbs up if you found this interesting, or a thumbs down if you didn't. Let's get on to Mr. Bojangles. Jerry Jeff Walker wrote Mr. Bojangles in 1967 when he was just 25 years old. The exact day or month is lost to history, but in his autobiography, Gypsy Songman, he says, and here it came, just sort of tumbling out, one straight shot down the length of that yellow pad on a night when the rest of the country was listening to the Beatles. I was writing a 6/8 waltz about an old man and hope. It was during a 1965 4th of July celebration in New Orleans when Jerry Jeff met the inspiration for his song. It seems that Ronald Clyde Crosby, and that's Jerry Jeff by his birth name, had been tossed in the hoosgow for public intoxication. The story goes that he was trying to convince a woman that he had just met that love at first sight was real. But like I said, some facts are just lost to history. The jails were pretty full that holiday weekend in New Orleans. There had been a murder, and the cops had been rounding up street people. Back then, I guess it was a lot easier to hide your identity by just using a false name, because that's what Jerry Jeff says they were doing. Jerry Jeff and the other guys in his cell were swapping tall tales and life stories when an old disheveled street dancer kind of darkened the mood by telling a story about his dog, about how his dog had died. Jerry Jeff says in his book, one of the guys jumped up and said, "Come on, Bojangles, give us a little dance." Something about that dance must have intrigued Jerry Jeff. because he spent a lot of that long 4th of July weekend in jail talking to the old man. It's funny how a weekend in jail can change your whole life. I don't know exactly when the memories of that sad, silver-haired old man came tumbling out of Jerry Jeff Walker onto that yellow sheet pad and touched the hearts of so many people. But it was sometime before the opening night of the Checkered Flag Folk Club in Austin, Texas in 1967, because that is when the first known recording of the song was made. Interesting, not by Jerry Jeff, but by another Austin singer covering his song. Another guy by the name of Bobby Cole claims the first regular release of Mr. Bojangles was by him in the June of 1968. He may have heard Jerry Jeff playing the song on WBAI radio station in New York, where he did the song live on air. This was also around the period when Ronald Crosby adopted the stage name of Jerry Jeff Walker. Maybe at the suggestion of Atlantic Records when they signed him? Who knows? But they did send him to Memphis to record his first official release of the song. Now, a lot of people assumed that Mr. Bojangles was an elderly black man. I'm thinking that's because of the association with the dancer, actor Bill Robinson, who was the most highly paid entertainer in America, black entertainer in America anyway, during the first half of the 20th century. You might remember him from the movies he did with Shirley Temple. Bill Robinson was Mr. Bojangles to many people. And it is Robinson's claim that his nickname was, like who else would know? Anyway, he says that his nickname was given to him by his grandmother, Bedelia Robinson, who raised him. And the word jangle, according to the Cambridge Dictionary, means talkative or chatterer. Beau was used to refer to a male friend, a term that has been around since the days of slavery. Coincidentally, Bill Robinson's grandmother, Bedelia, had been a slave. Actually, I think it's kind of cool how a former slave, a grandmother's nickname for her grandson, helped write this song. But Jerry Jeff explains that during the mid-1960s, New Orleans jails were segregated. So that silver-haired Bojangles in a ragged shirt and baggy pants that he knew actually was a white man. Mr. Bojangles now, the song, not the black dancer, he also helped launch the band that really made the song famous. The Nitty Gritty Dirt Band rendition is more than likely the most recognizable version now. Jeff Hanna, the singer-guitarist for the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, told the story about how he and his band first came across the song. He says in an interview with the Tennessean, well, we were recording an album. This was like 69, early 70s in Los Angeles. And I'm driving home late one night, flipping through the dial on the radio, and I hear this song that just blew my mind. It was so beautiful and poignant. I pulled the car over to the side of the road so I could hear better and cranked it up. Of course, back in the 60s, like that FM radio late night, there was no back announcing, so I had no idea what the song was or who wrote it or anything about it. All I knew is that I was tearing up hearing this tune about this old guy and a dog, you know, and this beautiful story. Jeff tells how when he went to rehearsal the next day, he started telling the others about the song he had heard. He still didn't even know the name of it, so he was just trying to describe it the best that he could. But then one of the band members, Jimmy Ibbotson, he jumps up and says, "I know the song, I know the song." Everybody followed Jimmy out to his car in the parking lot. When he popped the trunk, and then underneath his spare tire, and like a rusty pool of water, he pulls out a 45 record. It was Mr. Bojangles by Jerry Jeff Walker. Now the cool part of the story really is that Jimmy explained how a woman that he knew gave him the record back in Indiana when she found out that he was coming to Los Angeles to become a star. I don't know if this woman was psychic or what, but she told him, "This is going to mean something to you someday, Jimmy," quote unquote. Based on the residuals that Jerry Jeff has earned from their recording, I think that it also meant something to him too. I think that my first memories of the song were of Sammy Davis Jr. doing it at the end of his shows. Sammy recorded it in the early 70s. He says that during his shows that it really means something extra special to him and resonates with many of his life's experiences. You see, Sammy Davis Jr. Made his debut in vaudeville on stage with his dad when he was just like 3 years old. And if anybody who has ever been on the road knows, life on the road is hard. An escape from the same old of being somewhere new all the time and not knowing anyone, that escape often comes out of a bottle or through drugs. Sammy says that he worried constantly that he would end up like Jerry Jeff Bojangles and the song, that he would end up alone and an alcoholic and really just a faded version of himself. A lot of people have been inspired by the song, and more than 50 major stars have recorded versions of it. There's everyone from Harry Belafonte to Whitney Houston to Elton John. Jim Carrey used to do a funny bit about it, doing Sammy Davis Jr.'s dance. It's been everyone from the sublime to the cartoon. Jerry Jeff says in an interview that I watched, "When I got to Atlantic Records, they said, 'Who in the hell would want a 4.5-minute song about an old drunk and a dead dog in 6/8 time?' The interviewer replied, 'Apparently everyone.'" In response to that record executive, let me just say that that 4.5-minute song about an old drunk and a dead dog has helped Jerry Jeff accumulate almost $250 million. But I say that Mr. Bojangles is just a 6/8 waltz about an old man and hope. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Go ahead and click the bell and we'll let you know when we got another video coming out. And please comment. Let me know what you think. Oh, and click like. Thanks for watching.